You know, I'm starting to think that maybe Jason Statham should have been cast as Aquaman. So The Meg is directed by John Turteltaub and stars Jason Statham as Jonas, who is an ex-diver who is brought back into the fray when a crew is attacked by a creature which they believe to be the same creature that attacked Jason Statham's character a few years previous. When down there they discover that this particular creature is the previously extinct Megalodon, and this brings us into this new movie which has been quite heavily publicised recently, but has made quite a lot of us excited, including myself. Now, Jason Statham, of course, takes the lead in this film, and I really loved him here. It was actually really interesting to see Jason Statham in a role like this, where he's actually very much aquatic-based, because if you don't know, Jason Statham is actually an ex-Olympic diver for Team GB. So to see him kind of take those skills and bring them into the water, I assume he did all of his own stunts in this movie, then that would be very interesting to actually take that, you know, take that history, take that experience, bring it into a movie like this. Very, very interesting. And of course, Jason Statham is always a fantastic leading man no matter what. He always is able to live the fun, he's always able to deliver the hilariosity when he needs to, and he was able to show his comedy chops quite a lot, which is something I was very pleased to see, because Jason Statham is a very funny actor. Yes, he is very good at doing the macho and everything like that, but he's really funny when he needs to be, and in this movie he didn't prove it as much as I would have liked him to, but he was still very good here, and I think he did a great job overall with what he was given. Also, I think Bingbing was a fantastic addition to this. I haven't seen her in a movie for a while. I think the last movie I saw her in was probably Transformers Age of Extinction in 2014. But she gave a fantastic performance here. And it was really nice just to see her again, because like I said, she hasn't been in much. So to actually see her come back for this movie was really nice, and she was just a really nice addition to the cast. I think the whole cast in this movie was really well rounded. Everyone did a good job. And again, it was all filled with different diverse people. You know, we had English, we had American, we had African American, and we also had Asian. So it was really nice, a really well-rounded cast, which I really appreciated. Now, unfortunately, this is kind of where my positives end with this movie, and I want you to follow me through with this, because at the end I'm going to tie it all together. Now, this movie was advertised to be this over-the-top, deep blue sea level, stupid film. And while to a degree that is true in the sense that you have Jason Statham going after a shark that is no longer around, while that is true, this movie does take itself a bit too seriously for my liking. This movie, in terms of its dialogue and its tone, it doesn't quite work with the concept of the film. You have Jason Statham fighting a megalodon, and then they kind of treat it like it's this massive disaster, and they kind of treat it as if it's this huge, you know, catastrophic problem, which, you know, yes, it is. But in a movie like this, it shouldn't be. And it was quite disappointing, really, to see the movie take itself so seriously to the point where it's kind of compromising some of the more funny moments that it could have had. Mix that in with the terrible dialogue, and if this movie just didn't take, like, if this movie did not take itself seriously whatsoever, I would have gave the dialogue a pass, because it would have gone with that, you know, it would have been a part of it. But because the movie did take itself so seriously, the dialogue, it doesn't quite fit, because it was so poorly written and so badly done that it just stands out in comparison to the tone. Because again, if they would have went with that silly tone that this movie should have had, that silly B-movie tone, the dialogue would have fit in perfectly. But because it did take itself in such a serious direction, that script, the dialogue, didn't mix with it at all. Also, I think the CGI for the Megalodon, and also for all the other underwater shots, it just looked very cheap. It looked a bit naff. I don't really feel like the movie really put enough effort into that CGI as it should have done, especially for a movie like this, which is called The Meg, and its biggest attraction is the Megalodon, and it doesn't really look that good. You've got a bit of a problem there. And again, if the movie didn't take itself so seriously, I would have gave it a pass, because again, it would have came all with the package. But because again, it just conflicts with everything the movie was telling me at that point, it just didn't work with this terrible CGI shark we had to contend with. Also, Rainn Wilson is a bit of an issue in this film. Now, this is not to do with Rainn Wilson necessarily. I think he does a great job in the film, and I think he's really funny. But he seems to be the only one who knows which movie he's in. He's the only one who is taking this like a joke. And I think that's a good thing. I like the fact that he's the one character who's actually realising that I'm in a stupid movie. But because everyone else is taking it so seriously, he sticks out like a sore thumb, and he's the only character who's like that, whereas everyone else is dead serious. I mean, Jason Statham does play it off as comedic as much as he can, but being the leading man, he doesn't have as much range or free reign as he would have liked to. Whereas Rainn Wilson, he plays a very comedic role, someone who is very self-aware, and again, he sticks out because everyone else is so serious, and he's the only one who seems to know what kind of movie this is. Now, granted, I will say the last 10 minutes of this movie are hilarious. I was laughing out loud on multiple occasions. The last 10 minutes is what this whole movie should have been. This movie takes itself so seriously for the first 1 hour and 50 minutes, but then those last 10 minutes were hysterical, and that was exactly what I wanted to see. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil what the scenes are, but you'll know it when you see it, and it is just absolutely hilarious, and I couldn't stop laughing. Even on the way home, I couldn't stop laughing at these two particular scenes, and if the movie would have had that for the entire runtime, that's what I wanted to see. Now, don't get me wrong, this movie is still an absolute blast. I had a great time watching this movie. I was totally invested. I think this movie is a great watch. I think if you want to go to the movies and you want to see something, this is a great film to go see because it's a really good just popcorn movie. You know, get a huge popcorn, get a huge drink, and just go wild with this movie because it is a big popcorn B movie. That is what it is. Unfortunately for me, who was very much anticipating a big, stupid, dumb film, it let me down in that regard because it took itself way too seriously, and even though some people tried to pull it through like Rainn Wilson and Jason Statham, and I think Bingbing of course gave a fantastic performance as well, it just didn't hold up because everything else was done so poorly, and because it was taking itself so seriously, I had to actually look at these other elements in a critical standpoint, which is not what I wanted to do for a movie like The Meg. And overall, I found this movie to be a bit underwhelming, although it is still a great time overall. So did you guys see The Meg? If you did, make sure you let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let's have a great discussion about The Meg in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more movie reviews from me, be sure to head to the subscribe button and hit it. And I hope to see you guys again in my next video.